So do you think you could recite the Ten Commandments by heart? You know, we don't memorize stuff much anymore, do we? But you know, these commandments are a great gift to Israel and a gift to us. But I think most of us kind of, commandments and laws, it all sounds rather oppressive and burdensome. But that's not the story of these commandments. The stories of these commandments is that, remember, Israel was in Egypt and they were being oppressed and they were being worked to death. Worked to death. They cried out, and God heard the cry and delivered them from Pharaoh, from the workaholism of that society. And then God takes them into the wilderness on the way to the promised land, a place where God wants them to live abundantly. And God says, we better stop here at Mount Sinai to learn how to live, because if you don't learn how to live, when you get in the promised land, you're just going to revisit what you've been doing in Egypt. You'll just become the enslavers, or others will enslave you again. And so what these commandments are guidelines for how to live well, live abundantly. The first three have to do with, no other gods but God. You start worshiping idols, you start co-opting God for your pet projects. Bad idea. The last six are all about how you relate to your neighbor. If you start murdering people, not good for the neighborhood. If you start committing adultery, well, we know where that ends. You probably get murdered. You start coveting other folks' stuff, not good. Bearing false witness. It's just all bad, 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 bad. If you don't take care of your father and your mother, they're left out to dry. But at the heart of these commandments is maybe the most important commandment of all. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Remember to have a day of rest. Remember, I think Yahweh says, to have a day where you can live as you could never live in Egypt. You can rest. And you can rest because guess what? I, God, am the one who makes this whole world tick. We are not sustained, God says, by our own productivity. We're sustained by God's good gifts. So rest, and you will find the energy to work those next 6 days. The fact is that most of us have been raised to think that if we're not productive, we don't matter, and we will cease to exist. And where this leads us is death. Maybe physical death, stress kills. But I think it's more the death that you just wake up one day and you have no clue why you exist anymore. You've just become a cog in a machine. And God says, you don't want to live like that, do you? Don't you want to be open to the wonder of everything? That's going to require some rest. So just take a day to take naps. Have a day to go on walks. Have a day to be with the ones you love. Have a day to drink some good wine. And remember that God is with you. If you don't rest, you're not open to anything, including God. We're beginning a fall here at St. Timothy's, and it's always a busy time. And, it's easy to get caught up in that. On Tuesday night, I thought, my gosh, I'm exhausted. Well, I think the whole thing depends on me. It doesn't depend on me. It depends on God. And one of the things I've been good about doing in my life is having Friday be my Sabbath, a day to renew. You need a day to renew. I know you think, well, I have kids. How could I ever have a day of rest? I think you can figure out some ways to rest, because if you don't, it's not going to end well for you and not be good for your kids. They're going to learn to be, oh my gosh, I better be productive too. I better have every activity on the book in my life or I will not matter. Baloney. The thing you will remember with your children are the times you spent with them just enjoying life together. Have a family Sabbath. If you're retired, don't just go get involved in 10 jillion more things. Learn to rest. And if you're working full time, you don't need to work one more day. Take some rest. You're working hard enough as it is. You don't want to wake up one day and have completely forgotten who you are. So remember to rest. It is God's gift to Israel. It is God's gift to us. God will provide. And there's a lot of good news in that.